What is up, everyone? Dan the Card Man back again. Welcome to another video. Today we're talking through the shenanigans out at PSA where they first lost somebody's card and then try to play a few funny games with the individual. I spoke about this in my weekly news video from the other day, but let's jump straight into it and give you some context for those of you that don't know what happened. Now, essentially, Ty from Bench Clean Media, who also does Chasing Cardboard, two very big channels, essentially submitted some cards to PSA. One of those was a Trey Lance die cut tie-dye. Submitted that, basically got the cards back, and the Trey Lance card that he submitted was not there. He got a replacement Trey Lance card instead. So somebody within the process or somewhere within the process, that card was misplaced and replaced. Now, in this original video from a month ago, I also did touch on this at the time. Ty basically talks through the situation, talks through what happened, talks through how he found it really difficult to get in touch with somebody out at PSA, basically was stuck in phone queues, consistently took him multiple days to finally get an answer. Now, he basically said to us as viewers, I'll get back to you and give you an update when I know more. It's been about 4 weeks. So this was posted 6 days ago, and we now have an update with regards to what happened. Now, Ty explains he finally got in touch with a few people out at PSA. He got changed between different case managers. It took them about 4 weeks to do their investigation. And eventually they got to the point where they said, we don't know what happened to your card. We are going to give you a replacement value of a PSA 9. So that was very, very strange in the first place. As Ty explains, he says, why PSA 9, why not a PSA 10? They went back and forth some more, and they eventually agreed upon giving, a $750 credit as a PSA 10 market value. Now, this is an interesting one because the next steps, some of you might think, well, that's good of PSA to finally come around to their senses and give this guy his money back. There's a few issues there with regards to it taking 4 weeks, which I'll get to a little bit later on. But eventually they got to the answer, right? And they basically said, okay, if you want this funding, you got to sign this document for us, right? With your bank details, so on and so forth. Ty receives the documents, reads the T's and C's, and there's a pretty big red flag with regards to one of the T's and C's, right? And that was the fact that if he wanted to get this refund, if he wanted to get the money back that they owe him, right? They owe him this money because they lost his card. It basically says you cannot make a video talking about this at all, right? Because if you do, we have legal recourse to get that money back from you. So Ty is essentially like, guys, what do you mean? I've already done a video on this. I need to make a video for my viewers to highlight how you guys have gone about correcting this situation. I'm not signing this. PSA came back and said, okay, that's fine. If you don't want to sign it, you can still make a video, but we need to approve it first. So Ty again was like, I'm not doing that. Why should I do that? You've lost my card. You owe me money. You can't tell me what I can and can't create content on. And this is a very shocking revelation, in my opinion, from PSA, and speaks to, some pretty big cultural issues out of PSA, as I flagged in my weekly news video the other day, because in what sense does a business take that almost accusatory aspect with regards to their customer base, right? They're not willing to trust the customer, right? They're willing to drag their feet and do this 4 week, 5 week investigation, right? Which they all need to do at the end of the day, right? You need to do your investigation, but really they should be going above and beyond to make this right for the customer. So the fact that they've dragged their feet and now been so accusatory with regards to saying, we don't trust you as a customer. We don't know what you're going to say. We don't want you to put anything out there. It's like, guys, what are you doing? Make it right for your freaking customer. And the scary thing with this is, how many other customers have been out there that have had impacts like this, but have maybe not had the platform, that Bench Clean Media have had, that Chasing Cardboard has, that Ty has, and have been unable to get some action from PSA, right? It's a pretty shocking revelation when you've got a customer support system like this that drags their feet in the way in which they're doing right now, the way in which they're making their customer feel right now. Ty's not done anything wrong with him in this situation. So the fact that PSA is taking that approach, is pretty alarming in my opinion. But when I say alarming, it's actually not that surprising when you look at the issues we've seen from them over the last 2 to 3 years. This issue with, culture that I just touched on, right? That speaks to wider issues within the business, pervasive issues within the business, where they've got this mindset where they're holding you as a customer accountable when they really shouldn't be, right? They're holding you as a customer down while they do their research, while they get information on whether they should give you a refund or not. It's like, no, go above and beyond. Give the customer the money back. The second you found out that the card was lost in your care and you couldn't pick it up because your control environment's poor, you couldn't spot where the issue occurred, give that customer their money back, right? Why in the first place did you try and give them a PSA 9 market value? Just shut up and give them a PSA 10, right? How much money does PSA make? Make it right by your customers. And this mindset that they have with this approach to want to drag their feet, to want to, not rush to do the right thing by their customers is really, really poor. And again, speaks to the pervasive nature within their business that they have all these issues, right? They've got all these mistakes across their business chain. And then you see things like this with the way in which they treat their customers. It's like, it's not surprising, but it all speaks to the same story of them just being really, really incompetent right now. And I said a bit earlier that, it would have been good to have seen PSA action this up front, and it's good to see that Ty from Bench Clear Media has talked about this. But this is a pretty big issue within the hobby. It's persisted for the last 2 to 3 years. And maybe if people like Bench Clear Media or some of these other bigger channels, so on and so forth, spoke up about when PSA had these issues 2 years ago and put pressure on them as a business, maybe we wouldn't be seeing things like this today. And again, I'm very thankful that they've put this video out there because they are doing the right thing right here and now, okay? But it's like, how much of that is because, calling out these businesses and holding them accountable has become the new norm, when if people, prior to me creating a channel, as an example, prior to Sports Card Radio coming back, prior to AIH Sports coming back, prior to Retro Hoops getting his big following, if people were doing this beforehand, would we be seeing this absolute shit show from these graders that we're seeing right now, from these manufacturers within the industry? Maybe, maybe not. So it's a bit disappointing the fact that it's taken so long to see this kind of pressure from, these big channels, these big influencers. But at the same time, I'm very thankful that they're pushing it now because this stuff is not good enough. And I've said before, it's really disappointing to see PSA maintain this stranglehold on the industry when they've been putting out crap like this for the last couple of years, because BGS and SGC have let us down as customers significantly by them not making, a tangible impact on the market share, right? They've basically not really gained any traction when PSA has turned everything to shit over the last 2 years, right? PSA has been beyond hopeless, yet they still have that stranglehold. It's like really unacceptable as us. And it primarily comes down to the hobby not actually caring, right? They're going to forget that this happened in a couple of days' time and keep going with PSA. You need to hold these businesses accountable. They're taking us for a ride, right? And we need to be pressuring them to create more value for us as customers, right? Right now, they're taking us for granted. And you know what? The hobby's lapping it up, which is really, really unfortunate. And again, I really hope that we see action from this, right? Because we've seen in the past with SGC having similar issues, which I think Retro Hoops flagged in the Card Hedge podcast yesterday, or it might have been on his video on this matter a couple of days ago, where SGC stuffed up a card for him, right? They damaged it in the grading process. He noticed that when he got the card back, he contacted them, he got the money and the replacement funding back the same day, if I remember correctly, or at the very least, the next business day. That's how you approach things, right? SGC did the right thing there. Like, who cares about the semantics of the situation, right? It's pretty clear to see what a card looked like before it went in and out. In this instance, it's very black and white that the card they've sent him back is not the card he submitted. It didn't matter about the questions. It didn't matter where the problem was on their value chain or within their business process. The second they had confirmation that the incorrect card went to him, they should have refunded him a PSA 10 immediately. They dragged their feet for literally 5 weeks, okay? Dragged their feet for 5 weeks, did their internal investigation. Yes, they still have to do those things, okay? But they could have done that after giving him back the money, because then Ty would have come back and said, you know what, guys, PSA have copped a lot of heat recently. They basically did this for me in this situation. They rectified it within 48 hours. How good is PSA? That's fantastic to see from them as a business. But what did PSA do? They sort of accused him as a customer, not wanting him to put out a video, basically tape over his mouth. What's PSA scared of? What's PSA scared about this guy coming out and making a video on, right? They would have corrected the situation, so he would have had positive things to say. What is PSA scared of that is not already out there within the market with people talking negatively about them? They had an opportunity here to do the right thing and then let us down once again as hobbyists, as collectors, as enthusiasts within the hobby. So I'm very keen to get your thoughts, so please share those down in the comments below. But those are like the pretty key takeaways here, right? One, PSA have dropped the ball completely. They try to take the customer for a ride when they could have literally just given him the money. What was $750 US? Just pay the freaking customer the money back. Secondly, why have people not been calling this stuff out? Or what took so long for people to start calling this stuff out within the mainstream elements of the hobby? It's fantastic that Ty's doing this right now, but this should have come from people within the hobby much bigger than Ty 2 to 3 years ago when this crap first started. Okay, and 3, how are we evaluating this as collectors within the hobby? How did we allow PSA to sort of maintain this position within the hobby without appropriate pressure being put on them? It's completely unacceptable in my opinion, and again, the answer is going to be the same as it always is with this sort of stuff. The hobby just doesn't care, right? The average person within the hobby these days just does not care. They want to get their card in their slab and they want to sell it to the person as quick as possible. I would say the vast majority of people within the hobby right now are not true collectors, and I don't want that to offend anyone, but it just seems so much these days that the people that are, pushing the prices up of these cards, the people that are pushing the prices up of wax, the people that are submitting cards at these express level services and keeping PSA afloat are primarily people that are there to try and flip the cards. And I'm all for people being, entrepreneurial and wanting to chase their dreams and, make some money, right? Because that's all you can hope for at the end of the day. People being passionate about something so much to the point where they want to make some money, okay? But the problem is those people seem to be a big chunk of the hobby, and they're driving this mentality where stuff like this from PSA is okay. In my opinion, it's not okay. It speaks to wider cultural issues out at PSA, as I've explained before. And that speaks to, again, some of the issues we're seeing everywhere else within their process. Because had they had a strong control environment, as I flagged before on various other videos, had they had that strong control environment, had they had that strong business process, these kinds of things could be looked after really, really well. They would have had appropriate business processes in place, appropriate controls in place to say, you know what, okay, we're going to do our investigation regardless. We have to check footage, we have to check so on and so forth. We're going to give you the money back. If we find you the card, we're going to send the card back to you for free anyway. So you're going to get the credit and the card from us. But no, what do? Wait 4 weeks and then turn out this shit show. So it is what it is. I'm very disappointed from them, but I'm not surprised. And again, you might say, well, Daniel, why are you disappointed if you expected something like this to occur? I'm disappointed because there's so much crap that's happened over the last few years, okay? Especially over the last 6 to 12 months. And they've still not learned from it. It's like, guys, what the heck is going on? They need to be doing better. You, as a collector, as a person, need to start calling this crap out a lot more. It's not negative behavior to call this stuff out. It's negative to stay silent and wait for issues like this to happen to you before you speak up. If you know friends, if you know people that are having this stuff happen to them, speak up on their behalf. Don't be somebody that keeps their mouth shut because they don't want to piss off, the mainstream people within the hobby. Or if you're one of the mainstream people that have a big following within the hobby, you're too scared to speak up to lose your revenue or you lose your income. Well, guess what? Eventually something like this is going to happen to you too, and then you're going to speak about it and everyone's going to say you're a hypocrite. Now, I'm not saying that's what's happening with Bench Clean Media in any way, shape or form. I think they've done, a fantastic thing in this situation. The hypocrite situation was talking a generalized perspective. That's not targeted towards Bench Clean Media. So please don't get that twisted. I'm very thankful they've put this out there because hopefully this is the start of bigger people putting pressure on these businesses to start doing better for us as customers. Because right now it is completely unacceptable. So I hope you did enjoy the video. Please share your thoughts down in the comments below. This ended up going for a bit longer than I thought. I feel like I said it all the time, but I went on a bit of a rant there. There's a few talking points, a few takeaways. So please, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below if you agree with me, what you think I missed out on. But that's sort of it for today. So as always, thank you for watching. I really appreciate your support and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.